morning, Georgia. I made it through the night. It was definitely below 32. They called for 19 degrees. The winds were whipping. Water's frozen. I got up twice to go to the bathroom. But it's pretty cold out. I was warm. I was actually sweating. Put on my hoodie and my beanie this morning. But just slept in my thermals and had to take them off at one point. I'm gonna wait till the sun comes up before I get up because it's pretty damn cold. So I stayed at Addis Gap last night. As you guys saw, I had a fire. Shortly after I cooked dinner, 3 other section hikers had shown up at that campsite, and I ended up just going to bed, laying down again. It was freezing last night, cold. My water bottle iced over, but I was super warm to the point where I had to take layers off. I was sweating in my bag, getting a little bit of condensation up above me on my tent, and then if I rub my sleeping bag against it or my head, it gets a little bit damp. So I have to get that sleeping bag out, make sure it's dried out before I hit the sack tonight. I did sleep in, partly because the rest is well needed, you know, after a 10-mile day. But also I was hoping the sun would come up and warm up the air a little bit. I did start hitting the tent in the morning, maybe drying some of that condensation out. While I was breaking down camp, the guys from Trade Mountain Shelter, where I stopped for lunch yesterday and needed water, they had shown up. So they probably hiked maybe probably about 2 miles before I got up. They're doing a little coffee break and they're right behind me. But windy, cold, and sunny. Not bad. There's always a reward. Well, let's see. Those are the lakes over there that my driver said are half in Georgia and half in North Carolina. I don't know, over there. This is the biggest lake in Georgia, I think. Another fantastic view. I'll take a break for a minute. So I just passed a section hiker, said it's less than an hour to Dick's Creek Gap, or either Dick's Gap. I think you can get a resupply at Hostel Around the Bend, or Boots Off Hostel maybe. One of the hostels anyways. I think they do free shuttles back and forth. That's what the guys behind me were saying. And get a resupply there and then keep on going. I'm not going to even bother stopping unless there's something interesting down there. Maybe if there's a sign or something, I'll post that. But almost to Dick's Creek Gap. So we'll see how many miles it is to the next stop. There's a cute little seat here on the way down to Dick's Creek Gap. So I'm going to take a seat here and rest my knees and watch this little waterfall. So just arrived at Dick's Creek Gap and came from Addis Gap, which was 5.4 miles away. So put my 5 miles in. I'm gonna check the time right now, see what time it is, and see what we can do for this afternoon. So right now it's 1:08. I started probably 9, maybe even a little bit later than that. I don't know, I got a late start on today. All right, I'm gonna keep going. I'll catch up with you guys later. What I just asked you is what kind of sacrifices you gave up or things you had to, do to get here. So
yeah.
You're saying?
I worked for I worked for Kohl's Corporate. I was in retail for 11 years, and I just resigned from that to do the trail, kind of with the intention that I'd work again when I finished. But now it's been a year, and I can't see I sold everything. We bought a little teardrop trailer, and we're just living on the trail now.
Awesome.
Yeah, neither one of us have. We actually met on the trail.
Oh, okay.
But everything we own for the most part is in this truck and the trailer we've got parked at the campground.
How far along the trail did you guys meet?
Just at the Vermont, New Hampshire border.
All right, so you guys had hiked it.
1,800 miles
Yeah.
We both hiked pretty individually, you can meet a bunch of people.
Yeah. For sure.
In and out of little groups.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's been hard to kind of get it geared up with a group or matched up with a group because everybody's kind of sparsely, you know, situated between hostels or the weather, you know. So I've met a lot of different people. I don't think I've stayed with any one group, you know, since I've started, which is fine with me. Kind of like camping alone too sometimes.
And it's early. It's early, like you may meet people that you just keep seeing the same faces over and over, and then you realize like you're going the same pace, you're doing the same thing, and you might meet someone now, and the next time you see them is in New York. It's really cool like that.
So, what was your biggest challenge on trail?
On trail?
Yeah.
You know, I think weather-wise, probably the heat waves.
Yeah.
We're probably more. And we supposed started in like the first, like I started April 10th, and she started April 8th, so we didn't have quite as much of the cold, but the heat was really tough.
That's what I'm interested to find out. Like I'm fine hiking in cold weather, getting used to like gear and like what I need to do, but wondering, you know, you can't avoid heat. It's gonna, you know, come and you're gonna have to manage it and stay hydrated.
The sneaky one, which I was telling her the other day, is that about halfway you think, or this may happen at any time for anybody, but all of a sudden I started thinking, well, maybe everything's good. I've gotten everything I need out of this trail. Maybe I don't need to finish. You know?
Oh, really?
It wasn't when it got tough. Actually, when it got tough, I think that I was pretty resilient and like,
I got to do this.
I can do this, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's a long freaking trail. So, you know, so like,
5-6 months is a long time.
It is. It is. I've talked about it on trail to my camera and my family mostly that's watching, but it's just like I'm talking about things that I shouldn't even have to worry about until I'm 3 or 4 states in, you know, whether it's, you know, Katahdin or whatever. It's just like, let's get out of Georgia. Shit, let's get up this mountain. Like, let's get up these 4 steps that, you know, my knee's killing me. So I think it's one step at a time and take those challenges and choices and, you know, learn from them for sure.
And I think like people are going to fearmonger you every step of the way, and no part of the AT is easy and no part of the AT is unmanageable, you know. So as long as you just are where you are, like it's just all up and down, you know.
You guys have any trail names?
I'm Lemon Drop.
Lemon Drop.
Baloo. Baloo, like the
Baloo. Okay. Did you guys were given those names or chose those names? Okay. Well, it was nice meeting you guys. I'm actually gonna hike off and stay warm, head up the hill.
Yeah, stay warm.
Yeah, for sure. It was nice meeting you guys too. So, just left Dix Creek Gap. There's Blue Mountain Gap, which is about 5 miles, and there's Bly Gap, which is about, I think, 7 miles. So I'm gonna try to hit one of those two. Just past 3 o'clock. I'm running ridges and still going up. Still going up. Take too many rests, but that's one of my priorities. This is sit down a little bit more. And Cowboy would say that's a good log. So I'm gonna go over here and sit down. So just reflecting on what Lemon Drop and Baloo said at the trailhead there before I got up the mountain. But just about, you know, it's about choices, and it's really, you know, one step at a time, one mountain at a time, one shelter gap at a time, one state at a time. You know, I've learned a lot already, but I haven't even got out of Georgia, and that's what actually Zigzag said. He's just make it out of Georgia, and you know, that's one of my goals right now is to put on 10 miles, you know, each day. Today's kind of challenging right now as my second 10-mile day, but I feel good. I'm gonna keep rolling until I, you know, feel like I need to stop. But you know, that's day in and day out. Like putting in 40 miles in 4 days, it's a lot of miles on your body. And I think one of the steps or measures everybody has to determine and take is how are they going to take care of their body. You know, I don't know if everybody has a plan for that. Taking days off, taking zeros, and I think I've talked about this before, but you know, knowing when you need to stretch and knowing a little bit about your body, those things can go a long way to not only longevity, but you know, just overall performance. So this is a marathon, not a sprint. Doesn't matter how fast somebody goes, but that they get up every day and they take one more step forward towards their goal, whatever that may be. You know, whether it's, you know, getting out of your tent, making breakfast, you know, in hospitable conditions, hiking up that first mountain. One of the challenges I've run into right now is not being able to stretch or really do anything because of the weather. It's cold, you know, and by the time you get going, you're already warmed up. So with stretching either right in the morning or at night, I'm trying to do at least in my sleeping bag as much as I can. Got to stay healthy. Got to make sure you can take that next step. I know Maine's a long ways off. They made it, but they talked about, you know, some of the challenges, why they, you know, maybe thought they didn't need to stay on trail or why they might want to get off. So it was an interesting perspective. I'm glad I got on video. It's nice to have, and I hope that we can work that in to an important message from your Remy running the ridges. So I just talked to another, I don't know if he was a through hiker, it could be a section hiker, where he was headed. And I've heard a couple people say Plum Orchard Gap, or Plum Orchard Shelter, I guess it is. I said that's about a mile. So I gotta be at least, maybe that's at the top of the hill, and then the gaps after that. It's probably another hour or two hiking. I'll let you guys know. Still going up. Finally going down. And it's cold over here on the side of the mountain. I think we'll end up somewhere over there. The gap's in here, and I don't know where the campsite is, but we'll see. And I do mean cold. Ice cold mountain water. Anybody need a refill? So the same temperatures low for tonight is expected. That was the same for last night. It was somebody told me on trail there was 19 degrees at 7 o'clock this morning. Now that was also the predicted forecast from the weather on both the app and on the news station that I watched the day before. It's the same for tonight, but I'd like to know what that is with 15-mile-an-hour winds, 30-mile-an-hour gusts, because it certainly got a lot colder than 19 last night with that wind, and I'm sure it's going to be the same tonight. So hopefully we don't have to endure too many more sub 20 days or nights. The days are awesome though when the sun comes out. The problem is there's no cloud cover to keep that heat in or retain that heat either at night. If you're sleeping in a gap, it's pretty windy. So it's on the mountaintop, so I try to find some place in the middle with a south-facing hill that's been warmed up all day, but you know, there's no guarantee that that's something you come across when it's time to stop. So still not to the bottom of this gap yet. I'm not even sure which one it is, which brings me up to my next point. The last gentleman I crossed offered to get out his map and take a look. I'd prefer not to look at a map. I don't even like getting my phone out to look at the app. I have looked at time occasionally, but that's pretty much it. And I'd rather not maybe have such a set agenda or destination in mind, because sometimes you get to a spot you feel good and you want to continue, and there's other times where you know your body's just not feeling it, and there's no way that you should be pushing or forcing yourself to get to that destination just because it's something you anticipated prior or planned out. So you know, I have a general idea. I want to get 10 miles in a day. There's a couple different places that I have in mind, and I actually didn't know, or I knew about Blue Mountain and Bly Gap, but I wasn't really familiar with Orchard, whatever that one is. So I'm gonna keep on keeping on. So we're at Plum Orchard Gap, which is the one the gentleman talked about. There's a shelter down this way and camping as well. There's actually two people already set up over here. Looks like he's collecting firewood. I don't know, this wind right now, I'm gonna try to find a little bit more suitable place. The sun's nice. I'm gonna keep going. So I was reading on the app earlier when I was eating lunch that somebody camped here back in October of 21, might have been even 22, and they said 2 bears came up to them at their campsite that night. So apparently I'm in bear country. I'm all alone, been hiking by myself for the last probably 4 hours at least. Haven't seen anybody else on trail. No, but seriously, I don't think there's any worry for bears. They're still hibernating. There's nothing to eat around here. As you can see, it's desolate. So not a whole lot to eat. Probably no reason to get up when it's 19 degrees plus wind chill. So I don't think I'm gonna have any issues either way. I'll just make lots of noise. But the chili mac and cheese that's left over in my backpack probably smells real delicious to some sort of animals. Anyway, I'm trying to get down here to the bottom of this gap, see if there's a campsite. I'll probably wander around until I find one that I like, situated against the sun, maybe for a sunrise, but definitely blocked by the wind. So again, catch up with you guys soon. All right, so this is the Blue Ridge Gap. Right down here is the roadway. We're gonna get down there and see if there's any place to camp. If not, we're up the other side and out to a campsite on the other side. No campsite, but I did sign my name on the famous log. All right, folks, I made it to the North Carolina-Georgia border. See you, Bulldogs. Hello, Tar Heels.